Hey guys, what's up? Yeah, I wanted to come on here and kind of talk a little bit about AEW Revolution 2022 and its updated card. Now, I'm not going to give any predictions just yet, and I do apologize if the camera feels like it's a little slightly edgy, sideways or whatever. But I wanted to, like I said, come on here, give you my thoughts on the updated card for AEW Revolution 2022, which is going to be on March 6th of this year. Which is a Sunday. And a lot of people have actually been talking about the fact that the night before, WWE is going to be showcasing, I don't know if it's going to be on NBC, if it's going to be on Peacock, USA, I don't know what's going on Fox, I don't know what's going on, where it's going to be shown at. But apparently Saturday night's main event is returning. And it's going to be live, or at least pre-recorded, from Madison Square Garden, where one of the highlighted matches is going to be Brock Lesnar defending the championship against a potential opponent if it's not Bobby Lashley. Now, a lot of people pointed out that they don't understand why, WWE would advertise Lashley knowing that he's not going to be able to be there. That is a good question, but I think, WWE is hopeful, that Lashley, is available for that night in some capacity to at least put Lesnar over as a killer, even in his now cheerful, babyface, outgoing, routine that he's got happening right now. But one thing they brought up, or some of them brought up, was how ironic, it seems that, WWE is running this the night before AEW Revolution, which is kind of interesting. Because one of the things still hanging in the air is the unknown of Cody Rhodes. Some people are still kind of wondering if it's a work. Just Alex actually put out a statement recently over the past 24 hours. That being Just Alex Central on Twitter and Alex's World on Facebook. And Just Alex here on YouTube, formerly Deluxe Man. He put out a statement because he was one of the people that basically felt that it has to be a work. There's no way that Cody would want to leave AEW to go back to WWE. And he put out a statement that pretty much said that he understands, he acknowledges that yes, as more evidence comes out that this is legit, that the reason he denies it, now he didn't say he denies it or anything, but the reason he comes out and, kind of, says the things that he does, kind of tries to still believe it's a work, or hope it's a work to an extent, is even though, as he states in the, in the statement he put on, social media, he just can't wrap his head around why Cody Rhodes would give up all this creative freedom, all these opportunities he's gotten because of AEW to go work for WWE for maybe lesser pay, and maybe be stuck in the upper mid-card, low main event status. He doesn't understand that. And I get where he's coming from, because it doesn't really make sense as to why anybody would give up that kind of an opportunity. But to me, I think the reason Cody's doing that is, he used to be an EVP. So he knows the inner workings of how AEW works. He was there from the beginning. And what better coup for WWE to have than to sign a guy that was there from the beginning, a guy that worked behind the scenes at All Elite Wrestling, a guy that knows somewhat, the ins and the outs of that company. What better coup for someone like a Vince McMahon, a Nick Khan, a Bruce Pritchard, a Kevin Dunn, all them, to have than someone that can let them in on the secrets of how AEW has become so successful, so that they can apply that to maybe their product down the line, and maybe do it 10 times better with the bigger production that they have. That's just a guess on my part. That's just a guess on my part as to, why WWE would, why he would want to go back to WWE. Not just potentially maybe for the fact that it offers him more opportunity to do things outside of wrestling, like be in movies and stuff, but also the fact that he could be the key factor that says, hey, you bring me in, you give me this, deal that I want, and I'll let you in on how AEW became such a success, so that way you could apply it to your product and do it 10 times better. Again, I'm not saying that's probably what is, what is going on, that's going to bring him in, that's going to, lure WWE, that's going to make WWE agree to his terms and vice versa. I don't know. We'll just have to, as the old saying goes, wait and see what occurs. But yeah, a lot of people are still iffy on this whole Cody Rhodes situation. And like I said, even Alex Hicks, just Alex, like I said, put out that statement acknowledging, yes, I get it. A lot of evidence is pointing to the fact this is legit. I just can't wrap my head around it. And again, I don't blame Alex for saying that, because of a lot of things Cody would be giving up. But with that said, and the fact that he's pointing out that Saturday night's main event at Madison Square Garden is the night before AEW Revolution, that kind of clues him in onto potentially when Cody could debut or return to WWE. Possibly the night before Revolution, or if he's as hopeful as he's hoping, or basically what I'm trying to say is, if he's hopeful in the fact that this is indeed a work, like I said, a lot of people still are hoping it is, that potentially one of those two nights we could see Cody show up, either in a return on Saturday night's main event to answer Edge's challenge for WrestleMania, or he shows up at AEW Revolution at the end of the night. We shall see. If he shows up at the end of AEW Revolution, at the end of the Paige Cole match, then as I've said before, we'll have our answer. But with that said, as I check something here for a second. But like I said, with that said, last night on AEW Revolution, they basically took some shots. Some of the wrestlers took shots at Cody. Eddie Kingston took a shot at Cody. Chris Jericho took a shot at Cody. I think several others did. They basically said, I think Eddie Kingston said you could join your buddy back in Stanford, after our situation is done. I think Jericho before that said, called Rhodes, what's his face? So obviously already AEW is trying to disavow any acknowledgement of Cody's existence because of the falling out. But if this is all a work, then again, all power to AEW and Tony Khan and Cody for keeping it under wraps. But like Alex has said, it's still something you really can't wrap your head around as to why he would want to do this. But obviously we'll get our answer maybe on Saturday night's main event, the night before Revolution or at Revolution. We shall see. But even without Cody there, the build-up for AEW Revolution last night was pretty good. We did get a few new matches made official. We did get a new participant in the Face the Revolution ladder match. And we got what many consider one of the best promos in recent memory in all of sports entertainment / pro wrestling with MJF. And that promo, I'll tell you, with MJF, what came out of his mouth, that is the kind of promo that when you're building to a match of the magnitude of CM Punk, MJF, Dog Collar, knowing the violent history that kind of match has, all the way back to the likes of, as they always like to reference, Piper Valentine, if you will, and even beyond, and even before that, then you realize that having MJF come out and cut that kind of a promo, and then you have Punk come out with his reaction to that whole thing, that tells you right now that you are going to get a very storytelling driven, emotional, bloody, violent match. And this is the kind of match that is very old school in its style, because it's going to have a story driving it from an emotional standpoint on both ends. And that right there makes for the best kind of specialty matches behind, that surround it. Whether it's a cage match, whether it's in this case, a dog collar match or whatever, it really helps intensify the atmosphere. It gives that match between Punk and MJF not just a big time, big fight feel, but to me, win or lose, this promo, along with what's going to happen at Revolution, pretty much solidifies MJF, in my opinion, as the future of this business, especially when it comes to the main event picture. He is the future of this business, whether he stays at All Elite Wrestling after his contract's expired, or he goes and tries himself at WWE. One thing's for certain, he is set after that promo and after this match that's going to follow it at Revolution. There is no doubt. Because you can't just have somebody come out, cut that kind of a shoot style like promo, especially if they're the heel, have the fans sympathize with him, have the babyface come out, kind of wonder whether or not if that was true, have the heel say it is, and then walk off. That is the kind of, like I said, storytelling driven, emotional kind of atmosphere you want for this kind of a match. Because not only will it be showcased in the match itself, but it will basically up the violence you get in it, and with upping the violence, you up the greater chance, I should say, of getting a lot of blood. And there is no doubt that this is going to be a bloodbath when it's all said and done between these two. So I like that, shoot style promo MJF did. And it's going to really, and here's the thing, it's really going to be argumentable of what match at Revolution should main event and close out the show. Should it be Page and Cole for the AEW World Title? Should it be one of the other matches added on last night? And I'll talk about that in a moment. Or should it be the Dog Collar match? It's going to make you really wonder, which one is going to be utilized and approved, or not utilized, but you got to wonder which one is going to be looked at very closely by Tony Khan and the people that help him behind the scenes, and then given the approval of, okay, I want that to be my main event. I want that closing out the show. And MJF's promo that helps build this match from a storytelling-driven, emotional standpoint that's going to add to it, helps make this Dog Collar match a strong candidate, in my opinion, ladies and gentlemen, to close out AEW Revolution. And if I'm being honest, with all due respect to Page and Cole and this other match I'm going to talk about, I would go with Punk and MJF. Even if MJF loses, he can leave that show with a standing ovation and close out that show with a standing ovation. And then, if you're Tony Khan, you're like, well, Maxwell, you're a natural heel and everything, but these fans, after that promo you cut a couple weeks ago, and basically, after this match, these fans love you. So how can we change that? How can we channel that, if you will, into a babyface role? Or at least a trainer role, if you will. And that would be an interesting experiment to go down. Because you could have, from a storytelling perspective, MJF be resistant of trying to be a babyface, try to stay himself, but the more he does things the way he does them, even if they're heelish, you can have the fans cheer, and over time, it naturally turns him into a babyface, whether he knows it or not. So, I'm just checking something here on my computer. But, so yeah, I think it would be, an interesting turn of events for MJF. And that's why I think you should close out AEW Revolution with MJF, CM Punk, Dog Collar, with all due respect to those other matches. But speaking of one of the new matches added, we knew this was coming. And as I get my glasses on here somewhere, I put them somewhere around here. Hold on, guys. Here they are. One of my pairs, anyway. One of the pairs I have to depend on right now. I don't want to use my newer ones. I only use those for work. But one of the matches added on officially last night is going to be Britt Baker, D.M.D., Dr. Britt Baker, D.M.D. versus Thunder Rosa for the AEW Women's World Championship. Now, the package they gave for these two was really interesting, and it did show that Britt did beat Thunder Rosa. I don't know if it was a tag match or one-on-one. I'm thinking it might have been tag. I'm not really sure because, basically they do touch upon the last match that they had one-on-one about a year ago, where Thunder Rosa did beat her, and Thunder Rosa acknowledges that this time around it's going to count. It's going to mean something when it's all said and done, if you will. After they signed the contract tomorrow night on Rampage, which was already taped this past Wednesday, last night that is. So they're going to make it official, and this time around the match is going to mean something. But, as I've said before, I don't think Thunder Rosa is going to win. Now, I would have been more okay with them doing a triple threat, and then you have Britt pin Mercedes Martinez to advance in the match, to keep her title, and then you do the one-on-one at Double or Nothing. But if they're going to do the one-on-one here, then I can't not see Britt losing this title. I say you drag it out to Double or Nothing in Las Vegas, and you play into the theme of Double or Nothing. You have them put things on the line. Like if Britt's going to put her title on the line in a rematch against Thunder, then Thunder has to put something on the line against Britt. And whether that's Thunder Rosa's AEW contract on the line, and if Britt, which means if Britt beats Thunder Rosa, Rosa's gone. Or maybe, just maybe, you have, Britt Baker say, okay, I'll put my world title on the line against you, but only if you agree that if I win, you become my slave for 90 days. In other words, 3 months. Thunder Rosa has to do everything she says, no questions asked. That could be something too. Because if you're a heel and you want to humiliate probably the biggest threat you have to your title, then you basically make them agree to the stipulation of, hey, I beat you. Okay, let me correct myself. Okay. What I mean is, if you want to make, the heel look as heelish as you can and make them kind of humble the greatest threat or one of the greatest threats to the reign as champion, then you have them basically, say, okay, we'll do this. I'll put my title on the line, and if you win, you become champion. However, if I win, then you have to agree for 3 months, 90 days, to do what I say. To be my servant, my handmaid. And again, you want to make someone like Britt Baker the biggest heel in the women's division besides Jade Cargill? Having her, beat Thunder Rosa at Double or Nothing and forcing Thunder Rosa to be her servant for 90 days, which would lead to an eventual blow-off match between the two for the title, maybe it All Out, I think works. It works. No doubt about it. But I don't know if AEW is going to do that. Again, if I'm AEW, I have Britt get herself disqualified. I have herself get counted out. I have her friends try to help her. Whatever the case is, I have something occur to where she keeps the title after Revolution, but then you go to Las Vegas, you have her put on the line against Thunder Rosa, who puts either her career in AEW on the line, or maybe she puts, her freedom on the line to where for 90 days, if she loses, she's got to do what Britt says. To me, Double or Nothing is the better option than Revolution. I get it's the 1 year anniversary and everything, that's fine. But if I'm Tony Khan and I'm AEW, I don't go that route. Instead, I hold off until at least Double or Nothing. Then you put the belt on Thunder Rosa because it's a bigger platform, in my opinion. It is a bigger platform. It is basically, what is it? 2019, 2020, 2021. It is the 4th Double or Nothing, right? The 4th Double or Nothing. To me, it makes more sense to do it there because you're doing it at the MGM Grand. You're doing it in the City of Winners, Sin City, and you play into the theme. I think it makes more sense. But if they put the belt on Rosa at Revolution, I have no problem with that. But I think the person she needs to lose that belt to then is either Mercedes Martinez or she needs to lose it to Ruby Soho. That's who she should lose it to. Or, since you're pushing her, have her lose it to Serena Deeb. There you go. You can go from Britt Baker to Serena Deeb. Deeb wins it, and then Deeb says, I'm not facing Thunder Rosa or Britt Baker for this title because they're not real pro technical wrestlers. I want a technical wrestler. You can play into that too. You can play into that too, if you will. But to me, this match with Britt and Thunder Rosa at Revolution, I don't think this is the time, even though it's going to be 1 year, almost 1 year, if you will, I don't think this is the best time for Britt to lose the belt. I think you should hold that off till Double or Nothing, have her lose it there. Because that makes more sense, in my opinion, than having her lose it, at Revolution, at the Amway Center, if you will. I think that's where it's going to be, in Orlando, Florida. Nothing against, nothing against the venue there. But I think even they would agree, those attending Revolution would agree, Double or Nothing in Las Vegas at MGM Grand, playing into the theme of the show, of the pay-per-view, I should say, would make more sense. But I'm not Tony Khan. I'm not the booking team, so I don't know who I'd go with. Well, I'm not the one that basically makes the final call, I should say. But yeah, as I mentioned earlier, with all due respect to Adam Cole, and even this match, because a lot of people feel this match should close out the show, with all due respect to Rosa and Baker and Paige and Cole, I got to go with Punk and MJF closing out the show based on what we saw last night and how that's going to emotionally drive the storyline, for this match. All right. So, next up here, we had another match added. And that is Jade Cargill versus Ty Conti. And here's the thing. They've been building up Jade for a while. And Ty is a very tough opponent. Ty recently did face Britt Baker. I think, what was it? At, what was the last pay-per-view? God, I can't remember. It was back in November. I know it was back in November. At the AEW's last pay-per-view, I think, hold on. Alexa, what was AEW's pay-per-view in November?
According to an Alexa Answers contributor, the first PPV WrestleMania was March 31, 1985 at Madison Square Garden, New York. New York, featuring Hulk Hogan and Mr. T versus Roddy Piper and Paul Orndorff.
Hold on. I know it was something. I can't remember. Oh, Full Gear. That's what it was. It was Full Gear. Now I got it. But yeah, Full Gear. I know Ty Conti took on Britt Baker, gave her the run for her money, and almost looked like she was going to be booked to win, but it didn't happen. So putting her against Jade, I think that's a good step up in a way for Jade. Because the more opponents you have Jade face and beat, the more legitimate you're making her not just as a TBS champion, but the more legitimate you're making her as a future AEW Women's Champion. And facing someone like Ty Conti, look, Ty's going to probably be the one that carries her, and it will be a great match. But I don't think Ty's going to lose. I mean, not lose, but I don't think Ty's going to win, I should say. I mean, if they put the title on Ty, that means they're saying, at least Tony Khan's saying, okay, Jade's ready to be, Women's World Champion. And that would make sense for her to go up against Thunder Rosa. No big surprise there. If you take the title off Jade at Revolution and you have Thunder Rosa win, then there's your next world title feud right there. Or they could take the title off Jade because maybe Tony Khan's like, you know what, Jade, you're great, but you're still kind of green and it's showing, so we're going to put you back on Dark and Dark Elevation until you get better. That could happen too. We're not entirely sure yet, if you will. We're not entirely sure yet. But that could happen too. The point the point that I'm getting at is, I don't think Jade's going to lose, though. Because, I think they still want to keep building her up. I think the moment Jade loses that title, the moment Jade loses the TBS title, it'll be around maybe All Out. Because I see them giving her at least close, not a full, but a close to full title reign for a year. But I don't see her dropping it anytime sooner than All Out or maybe Fight for the Fallen. So, between Fight for the Fallen, the third quarterly Clash of the Champions like event in the summer, and, All Out, that is the time frame I see her dropping it. Between Fight for the Fallen, which could be one of the quarterly events now, or, if not, one of the special Dynamites, if you will, and Rampages, and then a quarterly event and All Out. I see between basically the timeline of July and September, beginning of September, of her dropping that championship, just missing a full year as champion. But the reason I say that is because you could build her up for an inevitable world title run starting at Full Gear this year. So yeah, I see I don't know what's going on here. Hold on. There we go. I don't know what that was on my computer. My computer's been acting up. I'll explain later. But like I said, I see her, like I say, dropping it between Fight for the Fallen and All Out, between that time frame, because you want to build her up for that inevitable world title run and win at Full Gear. And then that, right there, my friends, is when you give her a year-long reign with that title. You don't want to lose Jade Cargill to WWE, because WWE, they're going to take her. And Vince is going to be like, this is a big, strong woman. I like it. And I saw and I heard and seen probably what they've done over here. I could do better. You don't want that to happen. What you want to happen is to keep this woman under wraps as best as you can on your roster. So in my opinion, you need to give her the world title before this year is out. You need to give her the women's world title before this year is out. And the best way to do it is to have her drop the TBS title between Fight for the Fallen and All Out, between that time frame, and then give her that eventual world title victory at Full Gear. That's how I would look at it. Because I just don't see her losing at Revolution to Ty Conti. Her beating Ty Conti is a feather in her cap, because she'll be beating somebody that came this close to beating Britt Baker for the championship, for the world championship of the women's division. So by having her beat having Jade beat Ty Conti, at Revolution, that's a huge feather in her cap, because she could say that she beat the woman that nearly beat Britt. And she did it with ease. You can have a gloat about it. But I just don't see Jade losing it. I mean, if I'm going to be honest with you, if Athena, a.k.a., or what I'm trying to say is, okay, let me rewind. Okay. I just don't see Jade losing the title. All right? I don't see her losing the championship at Revolution. Because if I do see her losing it, and I see her losing it between Fight for the Fallen and All Out, I see her losing it to Athena, FKA Ember Moon. That's who I see her losing it to. I see her losing it to Athena, or Athena Moon, whatever she calls herself when she shows up in AEW. But I see her doing that. I see that happening. So to me, this match, it's going to be good, but and again, I'll go into full thoughts about this when I do my predictions for the full card when it becomes official within the next few days, if not week. I just don't see Jade losing this championship, to Ty Conti at Revolution. Time frame for me, in my opinion, as to when she'll lose it, between Fight for the Fallen and All Out. That's when I think she'll lose it. But yeah, that match is added. And again, I'll go in more full details as to why I don't think she should lose that championship. Alright, so the other matches that were announced is Jurassic Express is going to take on reDRagon and a team to be determined next week, which will probably be the Young Bucks, in a three-way for the World Tag Team Championship. Now, obviously, they're playing up the story that reDRagon doesn't want the Bucks involved in the title scene anymore, because they know, even when they were in WWE, watching from there and even experiencing themselves, that the Young Bucks, when they get into a shot to become champion again, they are basically on another level. They don't want that. But what it also seems like they're setting up here is an eventual War Games match, or Blood and Guts match, if you will. But it will be a very unique one, because on one side you'll have Adam Cole and reDRagon, Kyle O'Reilly and Bobby Fish, but the other partner is going to be Britt Baker. You know that's going to be she's going to play a role in that, right? You know Britt's going to play a role. Now, they could have Jay Wright show up and team with Adam, but we'll see. He's doing his thing in TNA, in Impact Wrestling right now, with the Bullet Club, which, oh, by the way, the Bullet Club now consists of Jay Wright, Chris Bay, and the returning members, founding members of Luke Gallows and Carl Anderson. So Gallows and Anderson are back in Bullet Club. But anyway, getting back on topic here, they're telling a great story here, which again I think is going to lead to a Blood and Guts match, a very unique one, where you're going to have the team of Adam Cole, Bobby Fish, Kyle O'Reilly, and Britt Baker going up against the team of the Young Bucks, and if he's not clear by then, Kenny Omega or Adam Page and Thunder Rosa. That's what I see happening. I see Adam Cole, Kyle O'Reilly, Bobby Fish, and Britt Baker going up against the Young Bucks, Thunder Rosa, and either Page or Omega, in a Blood and Guts match. That's what they're setting up for, and that's going to be interesting when it happens. But as far as the triple threat match goes, again, I think it's going to be a great show stealer, and probably one that opens the show at Revolution. The other match that they added on is Chris Jericho versus Eddie Kingston. To me, this is going to be a stiff match. This is going to be one of those hard-hitting matches. And I don't know if they're going to put Kingston over or they're going to put Jericho over, because there's rumors Jericho could be on his way out. But we'll see. We'll see what they do. But they've added that match. The story has been building up between those two for months. And we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do. We'll see how they get to that, they get to the decision that they want to get to from a storytelling perspective of who they want to put over in that matchup. Then they added Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson, what's going to be a very hard-hitting, violent affair. I got a feeling that maybe tomorrow night or next week on Dynamite, we're going to find out that they're going to make it no disqualification, so that way you can get a little more violent, give the guys more leeway. But let's face facts. We've seen these two face each other before. We've seen them face each other one-on-one, tag team matches, whatever, in WWE. These two guys against each other in any kind of match environment can go. We know that. We've seen what they can do as Daniel Bryan versus Dean Ambrose in WWE. Like I said, in singles matches, tag matches. We've seen them go against each other. We know that they have good chemistry. But now with AEW, in AEW, they've got a little bit more freedom to do a little bit more than what they did in WWE. So I think they're going to turn it up a notch. They're going to turn it up a notch, if you will, at Revolution. And I think that's why I believe the DQ rule is the DQ and countout rules are going to be waived for this match, to just let them go and let them get as violent as they can. And obviously the story is, if Bryan Danielson bleeds along with Moxley will consider, if not accept, Danielson as his partner and as his co-leader in the Danielson Dojo stable. But we'll see what happens. But this does have the markings to be, along with the Dog Collar match, one of the more violent, bloody matches of the night. The other match they added was the A.H.F.O, the Andrade, which is going to consist of Andrade, El Hido, Matt Hardy, and Isiah Kassidy against Sting, Darby Allin, and Sammy Guevara. Because one of the storylines they're trying to tell here is Andrade El Idolo wants the TNT title, which Sammy has. Darby wants it. So now you got Matt involved. You got Isiah Kassidy involved, if you will. You have Sting involved, of course. So we're going to have ourselves what's known as a Tornado Trios match at Revolution. And if you know anything about tornado tag matches of any kind, that means everybody goes at once. Again, no rules are applied. Rules are out the window. And this, to me, could be the third most violent match on the card. But we'll see. It could surprise us too, but I think it won't be as violent as anybody is hoping, but it has the potential to get physical and a little out of hand and have various, spots, if you will, throughout the, done throughout the arena. Especially when you put Sammy Guevara into the mix. And imagine what happens when Sammy comes face to face with Matt. Relive that feud. Woo! And then, the other thing they added on is I'm trying to check here, make sure I didn't miss anything. Oh yeah, Ricky Starks has qualified for the Face the Revolution ladder match. And spoiler, because it's going to happen on Rampage tomorrow night, spoiler, because it was taped last night, that being Rampage, Orange Cassidy has also qualified. So now you have Keith Lee, Powerhouse, Will Hobbs, Wardlow, Ricky Starks, and Orange Cassidy in the Face the Revolution ladder match. Who they add next? I think it's obvious. The next person they're going to add is going to be the newest signee, Shane Strickland. So Shane Strickland, I think, is going to be the one that debuts, for the company. Not at Dynamite in a match or at Rampage, but I think he'll debut at Revolution. But I could be wrong. But so far, every one of these matches I just talked about, and the potential outcomes that can come from it, that could build for future storylines and moments for these men and women. Again, I'm going to go over this when I do a predictions video, if I do. But, to me, I was just putting it back on my computer, went into silent mode, or still mode, if you will. But to me, like I said, let me, got distracted there. Let me get my thoughts back. Okay. But anyway, like I said, the matches here, pending the potential outcomes, booking wise, have the ability, yes, and have, the opportunity to build the future storylines and moments for these men and women involved. I just feel like if they're going to go in certain directions people feel they will go, that some of those decisions are not the right time. That I feel you should hold off on them. Like with Rosa and Baker, hold off to Double or Nothing. With Jade losing the TBS title, hold off between the time frame of between Fight for the Fallen and All Out. And then that way you could build to her inevitable world title win at Full Gear. So that's what I feel. That's what I feel you should do there. The MJF Punk thing, I think, has the opportunity to build MJF into a babyface. And you could do a storyline where he doesn't want to be a good guy, but the fans keep supporting him and getting behind him. And eventually they're the ones that turn him, if you will. So you got all these opportunities behind you. And then you build to, the Blood and Guts match. A first time ever Blood and Guts match where you have a woman involved on both sides of the spectrum. And that being Baker and Rosa, along with, Baker's teammates being reDRagon and Adam Cole, and Rosa's teammates being the Bucks and either Omega or Paige. You build to these opportunities that you have in front of you based on what happens here. And that's what the potential that this card has. The card, this basically, it has the potential, I should say, to go in these directions, build to these upcoming storylines, build to these upcoming matchups, down the line, as well as these upcoming moments for all these men and women involved at Revolution. But what do you guys think so far as this updated card for AEW Revolution? How do you see it playing out for a lot of these men and women involved? What direction do you think they'll go in for some of these men and women, after these matches take place? How do you think certain matches should be booked? Do you think they should hold off on certain title changes until later on? What are your thoughts? Comment down below. Live chat during the premiere, which in case you don't know, the live chats will have super chats open and would be open, I should say, along with super stickers. The super chats and super stickers would be appreciated. Whatever you could do, $1, $5, whatever you could do would be greatly appreciated. Also, guys, you can check me out at BW Rosa's Discussions, all your favorite audio podcast locations except for Pandora. Also, check me out at Vimeo at BW Roses for content you can't get anywhere else except for, you can't, check me out at Vimeo at BW Roses for content. I was just checking something there on my phone, making sure my battery wasn't getting low. But like I said, check me out at BW Roses on Vimeo for content you can't get anywhere else due to copyrights. Also, check me out at Venmo at Brian-Walmart-2 to help donate to the brand there. Would really help me out very much. Again, same with Super Chats. Whatever you could do would be greatly appreciated. As well as at Cash App at BWRoses98. And check me out at patreon.com/BWRoses. But again, guys, let me know what your thoughts are overall. Again, what direction do you think a lot of these men and women will go after Revolution? When do you agree that they should hold off on certain title changes? What are your thoughts? Again, comment down below. Live chat during the premiere where super chats and super stickers are open would be appreciated. And until then, I'm out.